Record. All right. Welcome everyone to day 3 of the systems webinar series. Today is really fun. I absolutely love exploring project management tools and finding the one that fits best for you. We'll talk on all of them, but Rebel Office uses ClickUp. I've transferred clients over to ClickUp and they're just as in love as I am. So I think it's a really good tool to focus on because it kind of captures all capabilities of other project management tools, so we can kind of explore that. And then if you decide to go with a tool like Asana or Trello, then you'll at least see how it could be set up by using those features in ClickUp, if that makes sense. So today is really all about centralizing not only your business and keeping your business. You guys can hear me okay? Sorry, I lost my headphones, so I'm using like a little snowball mic, so I'm hoping it's coming across okay. This house is kind of weird. But today is all about not only organizing your business in a project management tool and centralizing and really organizing all of the information you have, but we also want to make sure that it can keep you on track with the day-to-day too. So I like to think of my ClickUp as kind of like the boss of Rebel Office. It tells me what needs to happen when, but at the same time, I use it for storage as well. So that sort of centralization. I know that there's this place that if I'm looking for something, oh, sorry, I need to admit that if I'm looking for something, then I know exactly where to go to get it. For example, I found myself constantly looking for, hey Kayla, I don't know if she's connected yet. Constantly looking for like bios. Like anytime I would do a podcast interview, I'd have to like retype up a bio because I would never save it anywhere, which is insane. So now I've like built it into ClickUp that that's where I go for that kind of stuff. So we'll go through all of that. We'll go through storage, task management, as well as goal tracking. So basically I want this to be an overview of how you can use a project management tool for the day-to-day, but also the big picture stuff as well. So that's what we're going to cover today. For those of you who don't know me, even though some of you have been tuning in every day, my name is Sarah Williams. I'm the owner of Rebel Office and your guide to systems and streamlining and really taking your business to the next level. And systems is one really great way to do that. So like I said, today we're going to look at project management, storage, task management, goal tracking. Those are the 3 things we're going to cover today. So I want to have a chat first to see if you guys have used, Amy, you mentioned you've used Asana with clients before. What sort of other project management tools have you guys used? There's, for example, there's Trello, Asana, there's Monday. I think there's one called Wrike. Like what ones have you guys dabbled with before?
I've used every single one. I've
Okay.
all of them.
I've sampled every single one. So I've used Asana and I've also created a lead magnet in Trello just because I liked how it looked brand wise. So yeah, I think I'm like Danielle. I've sampled them all.
Okay. And
I have the biggest, shiniest object syndrome when it comes to project management tools. I think the only one I haven't tried is Monday, and I just transferred everything into ClickUp, and my ClickUp is the ultimate definition of a mess, a hot mess, because everything's in there.
We'll fix that today. Okay, good. Yeah, and you're right. Like, I'm glad you brought up shiny object syndrome because there's always new tools coming out, and they always have shiny features, and they're like, oh, that could work for my business, and then you try it, and there's nothing wrong with experimenting with tools, especially project management ones, because you want one that's truly going to fit your business. Why I like ClickUp, and they swear they haven't paid me, but I'll talk about it a lot. But I find them the easiest to customize. Any tool that you use, if you need some sort of custom purpose or need to use it for something, normally you can get creative enough to make it work. Of course, we want that to be as easy as possible, and you don't want it to be a giant thing with integrations and zaps and stuff all over the place. We want to, mission is to make business as simple as possible for people. So finding tools that will let you do that, exploring and dabbling with different tools is a really easy way to figure out what fits for your business. So I want to, is there anything that you guys liked or didn't like about the tools that you tried? Like, is there one that you have played with where you're like, I wouldn't go back to that again?
I still use Airtable, but I just use it for different functions. Like I use Airtable as my content manager and where I collaborate with my clients mostly. And then ClickUp is where my team organizes projects and tasks, and then we embed Airtable. So like I used to be all Airtable all the time, but I found that when it came to, it was too much of an Excel spreadsheet for some people. Yeah. And like you weren't an Excel person, you couldn't get into it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's really good feedback. Ava?
I want to keep ClickUp and Dubsado separate. I know that you could technically do ClickUp as a CRM, but I don't want to. Like I want to have it be a project manager, not so much be my CRM.
Client management, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that too. Like again, I talk a lot about like full-on integration, but sometimes it makes sense for tools to stand on their own. There doesn't need to be overlap. I use HoneyBook separate from ClickUp because they do two different things. I manage my own tasks for clients and my team members' tasks for clients in ClickUp, but I keep the client management stuff on HoneyBook. So again, another super valid point, and that's totally okay. Any other comments? Sorry, go ahead.
One of my biggest kind of failings in fully kind of using the software is I'm very analytical and detail oriented. And so I find that I overload the platform with too many due dates and then it gets overwhelming. So I just shut them all off and like forget about it. So I'm curious like how to find that right balance. So it doesn't become just this notification nightmare.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good point. And the one thing I don't like about ClickUp is the email notifications. And there's definitely a way that you can turn it off. I'm pretty sure I just haven't yet. And every single time I get notifications of something changing in ClickUp, I like get mad at myself for not turning off the notifications because sometimes it's just too much. And you're right, it can become overwhelming. So there's this aspect of needing to also build habits around and boundaries around managing your business and using a project management tool. Fortunately, if we organize your spaces properly, then they're clean enough and simplified. Teach me how to turn them off, please. At the end of this, we'll look and we'll just go do it together. I can't remember what I was saying now. Oh yeah, if they're organized properly, then hopefully it's simplified enough to be able to come in, feel in control, look at what needs to happen, and you know where everything is. So we don't want it to like, you come in and you have all these red dates because you haven't done stuff. And that too, like that's a whole other thing about managing expectations and setting proper due dates. But we want to think kind of as, how can we simplify everything? And that's really where the centralization comes in. So I will share my screen and I'll show you both the list and board options of the different ways that I'm about to show you, so that if you use Asana and you like lists or ClickUp and you prefer list view, or if you use Trello, then you can see how it's set up in board view as well. I want to make sure that anything we go over today is as transferable as possible for whatever tool you're using. And luckily, I mean, Asana also has a board view as well, but okay, all right. So can you guys see that okay? Just nod to Ava if you can see it because your video's on. Okay. So a great place to start, a great place to start is by starting high, like starting big picture, really centralizing all of the information that you have about your business and putting it in one place, so it's not spread out all over the place, and keeping it all in kind of like a tight, organized space. So I always call this like an at a glance board. You could call it strategy, anything. You could really name it whatever. You just have your business name, for example. But what I like to do is I like to have a few of these kind of core columns, and then I recommend you customize it based on your business. So you have a strategy column or section, brand package, services, procedure, and lead generation. Those are the 5 that I recommend you always have. And I guess too, just if you do use ClickUp, to show you when you create a new list, if you don't know how, click on edit list statuses. And then in here is where you can customize the different column names, because ClickUp default is like to do, in progress, and complete, which is great for task management, but not so great when you want to customize it for your own needs. So that's how you go in and edit those kind of the column names or the section names at the top. So I always like looking at this board or this list in board view, but if you like doing it in list view, that's fine. Really, it's all the same. The tasks are still here for you to store information in. To chat. Do you have ClickUp Premium? I have, what plan do I have? I do have a paid version. And in the membership, if you go to the benefits section, you can get 30% off using the Rebel Office code if you do want to upgrade. So yeah, so anything that we're seeing, I don't use too many paid features, actually. So it should be okay if you're using the free version. If there's anything that you see that I show you that you don't have access to or you don't see, let me know, because I don't remember, but I think most of the stuff I use is pretty basic for ClickUp. So when you're pulling together kind of like a strategy board or whatever you want to call it, I recommend under strategy having a place for you to put like all of your about information. So like I said, how anytime I would do a podcast interview and I would have to retype out my bio, or anytime that Rebel Office would be featured somewhere and they wanted like what's your company about, basically like your little elevator pitch, I would just like keep rewriting it, which is like the worst thing you can do. It's really good to sit down. This also lets you sit down and be intentional about it. You write it once and that's your key or like core message that you're sharing widespread. So it's nice having somewhere that anytime you say, okay, hey, can you send me that about statement? Then you just pop on over here, click it, and you can drop it in this description right here. You just copy and paste and you're done. So that right there saves you some time. Again, owner bio. Other ones that I like to include are mission and vision. This is great if you're going to onboard team members, if you're looking to grow your team, if you already have one. Having a central place where everyone in your company can come and know what your values are, can come and know what all the moving parts are, can come and grab your logo if they need to create something really quickly. This is kind of that place that you want to exist for people. So mission and vision, values, ideal client. So this is great too. I mean, anytime that you're writing copy, you're building a service for your business. If you hire a copywriter and they're like, who's your ideal client? Like, tell me more about them. Then you're like, oh, I've already done this work. Come on over, grab it, send it to them. And then your messaging stays the same because your ideal client hasn't changed. You're still speaking to the exact same person because it's literally the same work you did at the beginning. And any key messaging. So that one doesn't apply to everyone. I don't think it ever hurts to have some sort of like key statements, or you can consider those also like your content pillars, stuff like that. You can build this out and fully customize this to your business. If there are other strategic components that you need for your business, drop it in, use it. That is your strategy section. That is like the foundation of your company. Use that column. And then I think it's always important to have a brand package column, just somewhere that you can easily grab files so you don't have to search in your downloads or contact your designer or go down the rabbit hole of your Google Drive folders and try and find these files. having them all here is a really easy place to grab them. So you can also, for example, so say you're attaching your logo files here, or your brand guidelines document, you can also just include like a list of any Canva templates that you have for your social media, so that it's super easy access if you need to create a graphic for something right away. It's a really nice way to kind of keep everything clean and in one place from a brand perspective, like visual brand perspective. Services or products, depending on what your business is, it's always nice to have one central place that lists what those services are, the price point, the descriptions, basically anything that's on the sales page, copy and paste and add into this description section, so that anytime anyone asks, you automatically have information about it. The links can be in here. You kind of have direct access if you ever need to pull information about a product or service. So, and again, I had services here, but if you're a product-based business, it can be the exact same thing. It doesn't need to be by product if you have a ton of products, but it could be by category, for example. And then you can list all the products and SKUs and links in there within that category. I also don't think it hurts to have a procedures section. This can take time to build. You don't necessarily need this like standard operating procedures like an SOP column. You don't need it right away, but it's always nice to have somewhere to drop those procedures as you work through a task. It kind of gives you incentives. Almost every business owner that I talk to has not sat down to actually write down their procedures. And I'll be honest, Rebel Office, not all our procedures are written down, but we do, or over the last year or so, made a conscious effort to write and capture that information. And then we keep it centralized in this one place, so that anytime there is a new blog post, or if we have to hire a blog manager or a new copywriter or something, we have procedures in place that say, okay, this is how we do this here. Another option, instead of writing out procedures, this is a total side note, but you could film little tutorial videos and you can embed them in here. So it's great if you copy over like a Loom link or a YouTube link, it'll embed it right in the description. So it's not even a link, like you can watch it straight in here, which is great. I love Loom videos. Yeah, same. So if you're really bad or you don't want to sit down and actually write through a process, film yourself doing it, and then that's your procedure. So that's another option too, but then you can store all those how-to videos here for your business. Miro workflow. Yep. Love Miro. Exactly. So taking that workflow that we worked on in that first day and dropping those procedures into this section. And then a column for lead generation. This is if you are like very online business focused, you have lead magnets. Again, it's another centralized place where you can keep track of the different assets that you have out there from a marketing perspective, including links, including any promotional graphics that you have for those lead magnets, any of that stuff. It's a nice place to keep that there as well. But again, you can add as many columns. You don't need all these columns. It really depends on your business. The ones that I recommend every single person have is these first two. And then depending on your business, these other ones are going to evolve or adapt or be totally different. But now all of the information that you have from a strategic standpoint for your business, from what you sell, who you sell to, why you sell, all of that fun stuff is in this one place. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions about how this one board is set up?
I am going to be your shameless plug. Are these templates available now in the collective?
Why, yes, they are. I'm not sure if I created this one today, but these other ones in this, like all this templates folder, they're all linked in the resource library. So yeah. Oh snap.
That's me too. I'm about to go copy them.
Yeah, so I'll make sure, but they should all be linked. Runs to resource. You're hilarious, Amy. Thank you. And Eva. So yeah, they should all be in here because they're all created, but I'll double check. I may have missed one, and this one was created today. I just duplicated it from a board that I use with Rebel Office. So we'll make sure that those are in there for you. But yeah, so this is a really, and also I'll just collapse that so you see everything. But I love this board. So for example, I can show you our Rebel Office one. So this is Rebel Offices. So, and this has changed, like this product, for example, column, like this is old information. So I highly recommend, coming from my own experience, it never hurts to sit down and kind of create a date for yourself every quarter or 6 months, or even if it's annually, and just like update information. I mean, your messaging, your values, your vision for your business is going to change. So it never hurts to also use this as like if you're going to do like a business date with yourself, go through this board, and it literally forces you to look at all of these things, review all of the strategic stuff, and update everything as you go. So for example, Rebel Office, vision statement, messaging, all of that fun stuff, about Rebel Office, about me, all of our brand stuff. We also have a board for content inspiration. So as our brand develops, we drop in content as we see it, screenshots from Instagram, we drop it all in here. And that's kind of how our brand evolves that way. Products, same with lead magnets. I have new ones out that I need to update. So for the membership, I have we have a column dedicated for emails that we use, rules that we have, any sort of like recurring information that needs to be stored, it goes here. Another fun feature of ClickUp is that you can attach documents. So for example, the at a glance board, if you want to use it for brainstorming, it also has a mind mapping tool, which I don't think I've really developed. I've started, obviously, but you can mind map out your business, similar to what we did with Miro on the first workshop. You can do that in ClickUp and keep it attached to your at a glance board. Same with product brainstorm, this document that I obviously didn't get very far with either, but you could come here and write copy, brainstorm things, write out or create a document that is your brand guidelines. You can have all of this attached here, and you just build out a full document and it hangs out at the top if you want. You can also create documents that aren't attached to tasks or to lists. That's okay too. But if there's anything that's specific to the strategy, 1 second, let me get back here, to the strategy of your business, then keep it up there, pin it up to the top so that everyone in your company, if you have team members, can access it, or for you, it's easier to access. At a glance. Is there anything else I specifically want to show you? We might hop back into Rebel Offices, but I'll stick to templates because it's way cleaner. And do as I say, not as I do, okay? Because my boards are a mess sometimes. So now if we shift gears to daily management and keeping on top of, like, what do I have to do every day? What are all the moving parts of my business? How can I keep on top of all this stuff that's going on? Sorry, I'm just gonna make sure. Okay, we're good. There are 2 ways that you can, well, I mean, there's probably more than 2, but 2 ways that I recommend you use ClickUp for daily management. One, it could be a full giant team to-do list. So basically the different sections you divide up by business function. So any admin stuff, that could be like taxes that you have to do, or like in Canada where you have to file your sales, like your HST. So with Rebel Office, I file it quarterly. So instead of setting due dates and having to recreate that task every time, you can set it to recurring. So say periodically, one day, that's not right. Custom monthly. Doesn't let you do quarterly. So say you file your HST monthly, or if you do it annually, those are also options. Then you can set it to, okay, I need to do that on like the 4th Tuesday of the month. And then you can save that. And now anytime that you click, oh God, that's today. I've already filed, it's fine. So once you complete it, then it'll repopulate for the next time it'll show up. 1 second, let's refresh. But that's really nice. So a really good way to start, oh, it's gone. It'll come back, I swear. Oh, it's over here. Then you can sit down if you're starting to think about, okay, not only what are my business functions, but also what recurring tasks do I have? Whether it goes in the admin bucket, whether it's sitting down and writing 4 blog posts a month, then, okay, that's a recurring task I can add under marketing. And you can sit down and say, you can kind of decide how you want to break this down. So using the blog post example, say you write 2 blogs a month to keep it simple. You can either say like write 2 blogs, and then within this task, have it structured to say what the blogs are. So say you have both listed here. And ClickUp lets you kind of go like subtasks to subtask to subtask. Like you can kind of really build it. It's like endless. You can just keep on going. So for example, under the 2 blog posts, if you click on that, it opens up another task. So in here, you can write the articles. In here, you can have another to-do list that is your SOPs for writing a blog post. So you basically have a checklist for this specific blog that says, I've optimized the headline, I've done keyword research, I've found a featured image and uploaded it. And you can work through this. So every time, say once a month, you sit down to write your blog content, you just pull this up. You're like, okay, this is my time to write blogs. I'm going to do it. What am I writing about? Then you come here and you say, okay, I'll start with title number 1. And then you work through the checklist that you have in there. So that's an example. Another way you could do it is monthly. You come in here and say, okay, write blog title 1 and break it down. Does this connect with a Google Calendar to time management? What do you mean by time management?
So if I have a time or a block of time that's committed in ClickUp, does that then like sync to a Google Calendar or whatever type of calendar you're using so that I don't double book times, or is it just like a date?
I believe it can, like your tasks can show up in Google Calendar, but you can't. Oh, there is start and stop times. I don't know if it's on the free version, but on this, like,
okay,
you can like set a due date. Say it's for today. You can add a time, and then say your start date is today, but at 1 p.m., for example. So that's like an hour-long gap that's here. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that due date tasks can link to your Google Calendar. I haven't personally done it because I like to keep my calendar like very spotless.
Okay, no, fine. I was just curious.
But I'm pretty sure that you can. It's definitely
not something that you need to research further for this call.
Yeah, like we can look at it at the very end just to keep going through this. But I'm almost positive that you can.
No worries. I'm already moving on.
Okay.
Thank you.
There is time tracking for sure. Yeah. So for example, like if you're working on a client and you need to track time for a client, you can do that so for example, in the blog, if you have someone who writes blogs for you, they can track their time in here. So they go to that blog. Where is it? I do it with other clients. I don't think it's it. Maybe I haven't activated it for this folder. So like, for example, going to my other things for clients, in time tracking, I just keep a folder specific to time tracking and I just like add it. So that's totally off topic, but you're right, Ava, there is time tracking available. And it's a really handy feature, especially if you want your team to track tasks in this to-do list section. It's really nice. Or for your own personal knowledge, if you want to see where you're spending a lot of time in your business, time tracking is a really valuable way to do that. So it would it could like the foundation of that or the core of that could be this admin to-do list board. So recognize your business functions. So map that out and then either make them the status titles like this and have a list where it's all in one place. So you come here and you see all of the moving parts of your business. That can be overwhelming for some people. This structure is how I like to do it. For example, again, showing, where am I going here? I'm just going to pop that out. So in my own admin board, I keep membership, marketing, general, or like admin. I keep that all in one place. But for a lot of people, that's a lot. So what you can do is you can actually break down each of these sections into their own to-do list. However you mark that, if you name it like to-do, semicolon, admin, to-do, semicolon, marketing, and they're listed on the side here. If you have dedicated days or if you like block time off in your calendar, like do time batching stuff, fun things, and you're like, okay, Friday is my admin day. So Friday, you've set this boundary that like, okay, that's the only board I'm going to look at today. And I'm going to work through my to-do list in that list today. So, or for marketing as well, if you have Thursday, your marketing day, then you come here and say, okay, what do I need to get done today? And then it's in a different list on the side versus coming to like a giant list of stuff and it's just a lot. So those are two different ways that you can manage or set up task tracking in your business. And again, like every business is different. So for example, I keep client stuff separate. I have like a totally different section that's not in my to-do list for clients. And they have their own board that I copy a template for every time. So that's totally different instead of having it in this admin thing where I just keep like one of these sections being clients and it's like a giant list of things I have to do for clients. That would be overwhelming to me. Like I need to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to work on this client today. What needs to happen? And then break it down that way. So it really does depend on your business and on the different projects that you have going on. So it is overwhelming. It can be, because we're all doing so much in our businesses. So figuring out a way to organize that information that makes sense for you and kind of as clean and tidy as possible for you. It doesn't matter how many of these lists you have down the side, as long as it makes sense to you. It doesn't matter how many sections or statuses you have in a list or board or whatever you want. They call them lists. But as long as it makes sense to you, as long as you can find that information and it becomes a system that actually works for you. If you try one way and it doesn't work, try a different way. Like see, experiment, like use this time to really make a tool work for you instead of hopping over to another one. So yeah, I guess that's just kind of my note on that. But task management, it's a big one because Amy, like you mentioned at the beginning, this is the one where deadlines are going to be, and they're going to like scream at you to be like, I'm not done yet. Come finish my task. Like, so that's where you're going to start to see notifications. So recurring tasks are helpful. You can even keep this to-do list specifically for recurring tasks and then have a separate section that are like kind of upcoming random things that don't happen. It really depends how you build your business, how many routines and boundaries you set in your business, where you're either going to have more or less recurring tasks. But I always think kind of from a simplification standpoint, finding those routines and building those processes and kind of streamlining as much as you can is really going to help with that. My business is like the Wild West right now. I know, but you're also doing a lot. And I think that ClickUp is here to support you in the best way that it can. So it's going to, I mean, you're also going to set it up the best way that you can, but things are going to adapt and change. And I wouldn't be too hard on yourself if you let your ClickUp or any project management app go. Just come back to it. Dedicate some time to clean it up, or sit down to say, okay, I'm going to be really intentional about this. I need this support. I have set aside this week to Streamline Dubsado and ClickUp. That's amazing. Yeah, that's so important, because when you sit down and are intentional about, okay, what actually works for me? I don't care what other people are doing. I don't care how they're running their businesses. How can I build a system that's going to truly support the day-to-day of my business? So even everything that I'm talking about today, these are examples, and there's so much capability in ClickUp and other project management tools. So really just sit down and first start with, what's my goal? What do I need this to do for me? And then think about what that can look like. It might be easier to do it that way, or might be the smartest way to do it that way, because the intention is going to be there instead of following a template first. Okay. Okay, so we've talked about storage and centralization, this board. We've talked about, and for example, like another example, this is one way. I have one folder organized in ClickUp, and everything else is a roller coaster of trying to find things. Yeah. So, I mean, sit down and look at what's in that roller coaster of stuff that you need to organize. Look at it and say, okay, how can I compartmentalize this? How do I actually do the work? Because then you can build a system that actually complements the way that you work, instead of trying to kind of fit or like force them together. But for example, with this centralized tool, another example of how I've used it is for the Rebel Office resources in the library. I've built this like database of the tools that we have, the status of them, any due dates, who they're assigned to, which we don't really use. I can probably hide this column. And so this is another way where I store information. So say, for example, the client management resource, all of the I've gotten rid of. I don't personally like when it embeds when I'm trying to list video links. So I like hide it. Remove embed. There we go. But for example, I use this as a place to store those in case I ever need to find those, or when I'm building out the actual pages on the platform, then I have somewhere easy to go. So this is another example of how you can use it for storage, as well as tracking what's actually happening in your business. So this is a very custom thing, but I wanted to show you how ClickUp could be used, or project management apps could be used. Same with customer service requests. I don't think this hasn't been used in a long time. But we track stuff that has to happen, updating member directories, which this has all been done. Sending welcome packages. We track all of our partnerships. So contact information, code referral links, all of that fun stuff. It's all in here. The status of it. Have we contacted them? Have they confirmed? All of that fun stuff. So you can start to look at your business as a whole. Sorry, I'll go back to the template. You can stop looking at my messiness. You can look at your business as a whole and say, okay, what are all the moving parts? How do I need it organized? How do I need to see that information, and make the tool work for you? Teach me how to create a board like this, please. Again, I will. I'll leave a couple minutes for questions at the end. And we can go through, if you have specific things like how do you set that up, or how does that work, or whatever, we can talk about all that. But I do want to quickly address the third kind of feature of ClickUp that I like from a business management perspective, and it's the goals feature. So we talked about centralization, we talked about daily tasks. Now for goals, there's this fun little task down here at the bottom called goals, and it lets you track. If yours is a mess, mine is a work in progress disaster. Thanks, that's nice, but I'm sure we're both probably just hard on ourselves. So I love when I'm getting a client set up with ClickUp, I absolutely love going over their goals first and identifying, like working on the strategy part and making sure that they, as the business owner, are focused on the goal of their business, and it gives them an opportunity to step out of the day-to-day. So again, if you do quarterly kind of dates with yourself and planning sessions, then this is a great place to come back to. You can use it as like a sounding board or a starting board. So what you would do is you would come in and say, what's your goal? So say your goal is, I don't know, does someone want to use an example? Is there like a business goal, like launching something, or hitting a target that comes to mind? If it's
We're working on a client called our 7K Club. So any client paying more than $7,000 a month. And our goal is to have 6 of those by the end of Q1 next year. We have 4 right now, I think.
Sorry, what? So 7K?
We call it a 7K Club.
7K Club. Okay, perfect. So this you would assign to yourself or your team. You can attach as many people as this. It's optional. You don't need to. We'll just say this is private for now, but you would make it available to your team if you have a team. And you said at the end of Q1?
Yeah, end of Q1 of next 2021.
Okay, so that's March 31st, I think. Yeah. So that's the goal. That's your deadline. And then from here, you could put any sort of description if you want. I think for mine, like for my membership, I put like a quote just to kind of like every time I go there, I'm reminded of like the purpose. This you can kind of say it's optional, so we'll just leave it for now. And then it'll create your goal. So from here now, you start to create targets. So what sort of action do you need to take to get to 6 of these clients? Is it launching lead magnets? Is it having a certain number of clients that you think will convert to 6 of those? Like in your mind, what action needs to happen to get you to 6?
Ours has been focusing on LinkedIn because we're looking for like people managing or marketing leads and whatnot to get in with. So LinkedIn strategy. And then we're doing some more like literally sending postcards to people that we think would be great.
Okay.
Like these little branded postcards. So we write like a personalized letter. So I think I have it written down somewhere. I think our goal was to send out 50 of these by the end of December. They're just, like little postcards. That and I think that's about it right now that I can think of top of mind.
So your target for postcards you said was 50.
50, yeah. And we're just sending them to like brands that we like, that we want to work with a highly complimentary handwritten little letter.
Lovely. I love that idea.
I brought two new big clients to us for doing that because they were like, whoa, snail mail. So
exactly. So now you have a way to track that. So has someone you can assign now developing a LinkedIn strategy, whether that goes to you, to someone on your team, where you're like, okay, in order to make this happen, we know we need like a really strong LinkedIn strategy. Let's get that down on paper. And then from this strategy, you might have to add more targets because it might like, okay, we need to reach out to a certain number of people on LinkedIn, or we might need to do this. Whatever that strategy entails, this is a place to start. So then once it happens, I don't know why my ClickUp is being weird. It's not letting me scroll. 1 second. But for the postcards, for example, as well, then I wonder if there's definitely, why isn't it letting me track it? I might hop over to mine. Normally this doesn't happen. There's normally a way where you would say like, okay, yes, that's done. Oh, there we go. In progress or finished. So once that's done, it would be checked. Or for this one, the send 50 postcards, say you sit down and mail out 10. Okay, so I've done 10 of those, update. So now it's starting to track your progress to your goal. Cool. And if this number changes, it changes. And it'll track the timeline or kind of tasks that happen. But more so what you really want to see is like, okay, how close? I'm 10% to my goal because I've sent 10 postcards out. And it'll track that along. So it's a really fun way to see what's going on. Let me see if I can, for example, for Canadian-wide representation of Rebel Office, our goal was to, okay, well, first we need to incorporate federally so that we can do business across the country. Then we need to set up a legal agreement for the regional chapters that we want to have nationwide. And then, okay, we need to write the leader manual. And you just kind of like start to break down what those tasks are and those milestones that need to happen in order to get you to your goal. Establish a growth strategy. Advertise for leader applications. I need to change that. So it's not advertising. This is more like actually signing on leaders in every province or territory in Canada. So you can kind of track progress that way. I had no idea of this feature. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll delete this. Don't worry, Danielle. But I love this tool. And I think it's a great way to sit down and say, okay, what am I working towards here as a business? Is my team, if you have one, working towards as a business? And then say, okay, what's actually going to get us there? And you're going to add new targets as you grow and as you adapt and as you learn, and that's okay. But it's nice to know that you're working towards something. It's kind of like a positive affirmation as you start to work and track the work that you're actually doing towards your goals. So similarly, if you do a regular team meeting or like a quarterly planning session, even if it's just with yourself, then sitting down to say, okay, what's my goal? Has it changed? Is there anything that I need to add? Is there something that I haven't put any attention on, but I know it's important because it's listed under my targets? And then that can start to like shift and reprioritize the day-to-day of your business to make sure that you're aligned with your ultimate goals. Does that make sense? I love this feature. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about the 3 different types of stuff we've looked at within ClickUp? Or I'll just open it up to questions if anyone wants to know how to do anything at all. Today we'll add all the goals. You should. Yeah, it's really cool. Any other questions?
I'm trying to figure out where to start with my questions, but
Okay.
I think the first question is where in the collective are the templates? Because I've been trying to find them and I just don't see them. So maybe that's like a subpar. Like I've even tried to search for ClickUp, but I don't know where I'm looking.
Oh yeah, no. So in the resource collaborator.
Sorry, I'm kind of, and then I guess no, that's where I'll start. I'm gonna have to sit down and like think about it and maybe join the next working group to like ask more questions, because I'm a little overwhelmed, but that's just because my mind is like, oh, I could do this and oh, I could do this. So you talked about how this is separate from Honeybook / Dubsado. So you manage your business in ClickUp and your client projects in the other platform.
Sure.
Is that simply to keep things separate and more delineated for like your focus, or like what was your intention behind that?
Yeah, so Honeybook I use forward facing for client stuff. So sending proposals, invoices, but in terms of task management, I already use ClickUp to, when I'm sitting down to work, I use it as the reference point. So for example,
because like I would love to do like my project management aspect.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to determine whether or not like Dubsado / Honeybook or sharing a ClickUp board is the better option. Okay. So I just kind of wanted, to see what's everybody else using for like client, like project management aspects, where the client can go in and like I can interact with the client and set due dates for them and stuff like that. Has anybody used it in that platform?
So I used to, before I got Honeybook, I would keep, I think I actually have a template for it as well, client board. So, and I did this in Asana and I rebuilt it in ClickUp just to have as a template, but I created this like, kind of like the at a glance board where it's like all the project information's in here. So contact details, it's here. And then you would have like your actual contact details in here, or any links, any call link if you're like regularly using the same call. Reminders, when's the next session? So this is somewhere where the client can go and grab their homework from a call, or see the to-do list that you guys agreed on the last consultation that you did. So this is a way, and ClickUp lets you share this. So you can share this with the client. I'll show you the example that I had in Asana that I would use. Like, this is what I would use for client management, client board. So this is a template that I would just duplicate every time I had a new client.
Mm-hmm.
So contact details, Zoom link, branding files. So anytime if a client sent me any branding details that we would need to work on something, I would just drop the Google link, Google folder in here, or ask them to put it in there. Any sort of, for the first session, this was for like a specific program that I would run.
Mm-hmm.
But the client can come in, know what that session's about beforehand. I mean, in here too, you can include the call link, you can include attach any homework that they maybe would need to complete beforehand, and get them to re-upload it. So from a client management standpoint, you can totally do that in a project management tool. And what's good about this too is that then if you are, I know we worked on kind of service structure with transmit safety and what that looked like. If you have, you can create 3 different boards for the 3 levels of services that you have. Mm-hmm. So each one is going to have different templates or more templates that you can just kind of have stored in here ready to go, so that when you have a client, then it's all in one place and you're just duplicating it and off to the races. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. No, absolutely. I was just, I guess I'm kind of like, is it from maybe everybody's aspect on the call, like does Dubsado do the same and therefore should have that within Dubsado, or is ClickUp kind of like has the more features for embedding document files and having a little bit more of that like TLC approach for client management?
Dubsado has a client portal. I think we talked about this. So there is that option. I think it depends on how much flexibility you want, I guess. I personally, I don't know. I don't know if I was clear about my opinions of Dubsado. I think it works great for people. I find it really frustrating. So if I wanted to, what you could do in Dubsado, for example, is have all of your, they're called forms, but whatever document you wanted or like to have ready, depending on whatever client came in, you can just apply it to the portal and then the client would have access to that. So that's an easy way of sharing it. It's just, I don't know. I mean, that's totally a way, and a lot of people do it that way. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I guess like for me, the steps would be outside of like sharing a form. So like as an example, right now I'm kicking off a project tomorrow that like I'm upgrading their health and safety management like program. And so each week there's a call, there's a focus, there's due dates for their feedback for me and action items. And so I was building, they use Teams, right? So a lot of my clients are like Office 365. So I have to use their planner. But if they don't, then I want to be able to port them over to some sort of system. And right now I'm leaning towards ClickUp. I just haven't dived deeper into it. So.
And I used to have Office 365 and they have something that is very similar to this board.
Yeah, Planner.
Yeah, they have Planner. I don't like it.
I don't
like it. I personally don't use the Dubsado portal as much as I should, just because I don't like the design of it. I don't find it pretty, and I just want to have it. I want to have this because on there too, like I have both their task and my task, so they know what needs to happen throughout every step of the process. So that's why I have my clients on ClickUp now.
Yeah. So, and maybe it'll take just trying both, like setting it up and seeing which one you enjoy working in the most, and playing around with it. Like this one, once you've dabbled in ClickUp, you kind of understand how it'll work. I find this easier to adapt and customize as the project goes. If there's any sort of thing that they need to know about or whatever, it's easy to drop in here. But the portal, I mean, people use it all the time. So I would more just explore, does that make sense from a client-facing perspective? what's the easiest for them? What's the better experience for them? And ask yourself that.
And what's the better experience for you too? Because I know I've had a lot of coaches that use the Dosado portal, and because of how they use it and depending on the industry they're in, it works.
Yeah.
So I've had like my designer uses the Dosado portal and it works for her because it's just like, oh, you need to see this to approve and that. But for anything where I do a lot like spreadsheets and just a lot of documents, I prefer the ClickUp portal, and they do too.
And what's nice too is a positive, because I've been so negative about Dosado, but like a positive about it is that it would be easy if you need their approval on something, then it's as simple as sending them the document and having a check mark at the bottom saying, do you approve or have you reviewed this? So it can track that action and like have that level of accountability. That's something in here. If you drop in and say, I put a document in here, please review it. There's no like forced acknowledgement on the client side.
Unless you name the task like approved. Yeah. Approval step, final draft approval, exactly. And then assign it to them.
Dosado is really great for that. I've been using it for basically we do custom websites and UX design, and we use it for all of the approvals along the way. And the proposals have been going really well. I'm sure, I've never used HoneyBook, but I'm assuming it's similar where you send the proposal, you get the invoice, you get the contract, all that. Yeah. Dosado, what I found, the reason I went with it over HoneyBook was because we do so many different services. The workflow customization was kind of the seller for me, and the multiple users that I could have. Everyone can manage their own leads and I don't need to be the only person. So that was a seller for me.
That's good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, it totally depends. I'd play around with both. And even if you have you set up like a Dosado account yet and played around with it at all?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I've played with many.
Because there's other ones. There's like 17 hats and all that stuff too, not to confuse you, but there's other ones out there. But with Dosado, they automatically set you up with like a test account.
Yeah, I got 3.
Pardon?
I think I get like the free account is of like all of the product lines and all of the apps, but I'm limited to 3 clients, I think is what it is. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about, setting it up, it's too late for this client, but for my next onboarding, I wanted to like onboard one on ClickUp and onboard one on Dosado, and then like see which experience I liked the best. But then I also have to think about like what the usability from my client standpoint, because the majority of my clients are corporate and they won't necessarily be as familiar with either platform. And so I have to like create Loom videos on like how to do this and how to log into this and how to do this. And so that's part of like my customer experience aspect that I still have to build up and think about.
So sorry, I want to show you. Where's my little test client?
Because like one of the steps from Dosado is like I could push them to ClickUp. That could be like one of the workflows. It's like, absolutely, here's where we sign our contract and the proposal, but all of our task management is now moved on to ClickUp.
Part of your onboarding workflow could be
to push them onto a board, and then to bring them back at the end for the final review will be in Dosado. So there's different ways I'm trying to think about like how it would interconnect, but then again, I'm using more platforms than maybe I want to. So that's kind of my hookup, but
I want to show you what it looks like from a user perspective. How do I get here? Okay. And there's so many different ways. Like similarly, you could, the password. This is what it looks like, and like you can totally brand this yourself. I just did it quickly, but a client would then come here, and they can access it, I think, through emails. Like you can have it in like a email signature of your any email that you send to them through Dubsado to say to access your client portal, click here. So it's super easy. You can make it easy for them to find. But then they can track any emails that have gone in between you guys. The project you would select the project, and then they'd be able to access any contracts or invoices. Yeah, perfect. And you can embed it so it's easy. Like you can create a subject for it, basically, is what Danielle's saying.
So Danielle, you mean like, so if I was your client, it would be like transmit safety at your url.com.
Yeah, exactly. You can, and then you built it just off the website. So if they go to our website, they can actually just click the like clients, click here, and then go to the portal. And the nice thing is you can attach like documents and all that. So if you go into Dubsado to forms, you can click like just add document, and it will add it to their portal. So if you have other things, or even the Excel spreadsheets that you were talking about, Ava, I often share, like I share agency analytics reports here. So they don't have two different portals. They just have the one.
Yeah, so it doesn't need to just be like forms you've created here. You can attach files, and then they can access it really easily. So it's not a bad option. It's definitely a really good option. It's just figuring out
which one was, yeah,
exactly. And for templates and tools, it depends on so like ClickUp is always an alternative option. So you know how sometimes I have, take a spreadsheet, for example, and there's a Google Sheets, but then there's also an Airtable example of a template. Some of them have ClickUp. So maybe I'll go in today and just like tag them so they're easier to find. So that you can just search and find the ClickUp ones, but they're like sprinkled in depending on which is not helpful for you to find. So I'll make sure that's easier for you to check out today. Yeah, I can't even think of an example. Ooh, that looks glitchy. Airtable base. No, I'll find it. But anyways, that was your first question. And yeah, I would just explore with client management on the other one, but I've done both ways and they both work. So it really just depends. 2 free 30-minute calls with them a month. Who? Oh, Dubsado, yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Any other questions about business running in general?
That's why
I take a deep breath. I was like, "Ooh, all the questions."
And I think too, like what we did with Miro on the I think it was the first workshop, client management, and we like sit down and map out the workflow. Do that with your business. Like for example, I'll show you. I think I showed you this example on the first workshop, but if you go to say systems plan, I sat down and mapped out all of the moving parts of Rebel Office. Like this is Rebel Office. And I started with, okay, marketing is a main business function. Okay, so within marketing, there's email marketing, there's Instagram, there's lead generation, there's blog. And I like kept breaking it down and like map it all out. Make sure everything is on here. All of the green stuff, the stuff I've highlighted green are like assets. So if I need a template for something, if I need, whether I had it or not, I just put down everything that like to get Rebel Office where I wanted to go, I put it all here. So if you aren't sure how to start organizing your project management, starting here is a pretty good place, because then you can start to see what you need to even organize. Then you can start to notice what's recurring. Then you can start to pay attention to, okay, these actually are the business functions in my business. I need to organize them based on that, or whatever. It'll start to become more clear as you see everything kind of all in one. And I mean, again, I've said it this whole series, but I'll stop sharing my screen, that systems can be overwhelming. So it's more just taking the time, dedicating the time to it, and making sure that you're using each tool that you bring into your business to its fullest potential, so that you don't have 50 apps that really you would only need 5 for. So it really is just starting to explore all the different capabilities and saying, okay, yes, this is one that I'm going to make work for my business, and kind of commit to it. commit to it that way. But take the time and really be intentional about it. And yeah, I guess that's my biggest, and that's like the theme of this whole series is start with big picture and then work your way down to, okay, now I need to get this working for my business. Because once it is working, and I promise you, when it gets working and you have these tools and everything's more streamlined, it'll create so much more space in your business. It'll give you back so much more time. And as much as I think there's too much control that we have over our businesses sometimes, it can really help to create that sense of like, okay, I know what's going on. I can have that inner peace back. So that's kind of the beauty of systems, especially from a business operations and like project management side of things. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions before we sign off? The next session is on Thursday, and it's all about money management, and it's a fun one. It's not as systems focused. It's more about building habits, but it'll be really fun still anyways. Any other questions? Nope, thank you, and everyone else for sharing.
Thanks.
Sorry, I had to move spaces. My Wi-Fi just like completely cut out from where I was. I guess, and you might have already answered it, I just have a lot of moving pieces like at this very moment, at this very week, and a lot of like secret calls and secret projects and more front work facing. So do you think it would be more helpful to kind of start with the Miro and just map everything out and then set up? Because that's something that I'm currently being like struggling with.
I would recommend kind of doing a 30,000 foot view first. Because otherwise you're going to start building stuff in systems where you realize maybe there was a better way, or there could have, like, you might be duplicating work. I think mapping it out first is always a really good place to start. I also think that you want to plan and you want to build your systems around the business that you want to have. So like, you don't necessarily want to build a system or like build in processes or implement a system into your business that's just a Band-Aid. I would think more kind of big picture, long-term, sustainable, like how is this going to keep my business running, versus I need this tool to do. And like, there's obviously like circumstances, like if you need to send a contract, so you need to set up like a HelloSign or a DocuSign, like do that and get that done, get that contract out and make the money. Like there's always going to be circumstances where my advice doesn't apply. But I think if you're going to sit down and start to think, okay, how can I really build this for long-term success? I would take that lens on it versus my life's a mess right now, or my business. Like that's so aggressive, but you know what I mean? Like
I know exactly what you mean.
My business, like I've been there. I feel that way a lot. My business is a mess right now. I just need some solution or some sort of sanity, because then you start to build based on from like a very fear-based, and like it's just won't be the systems that are going to take you into the future, I guess is the best way for me to say it. So that's something to think about. But of course there's going to be situations where like I need this to work for me now. But if we're thinking, and what I want you guys to start thinking about is more kind of like, you're the CEO, you're the boss. How can I build systems that are going to really support my business long term?
Okay. Thank you. That was really helpful. I think I will do that today instead of working in Band-Aids on on all the running things.
Well, I get it, because I did that. I mean, again, you still do it sometimes, like it just happens, but for the most part, you want to try and be as intentional and aligned as possible with systems.
And my other funny question is, how the heck do you remove those ClickUp emails? Because they are the bane of my existence every morning.
Look at that if you guys want to hang on. Otherwise, you can hop off, and we'll go from there. Does anyone else have any other questions before we like dive into ClickUp features and stuff? Good. Okay. All right. So emails. Let me share my screen again, and we'll just go through it. We'll hang out for a bit. Okay, ClickUp. Let's see. So I'm pretty sure, notifications. Oh yeah. Okay, so right here. So if you go to the like down here, if you click on your little bubble and under your own personal settings and click notifications, then you can turn stuff off. I think. Assign comments. Yeah. So you just click nice. Okay. I mean, really, I would love to just turn all of this on. Like, me personally, I'm very protective of this new space that I'm creating within Rebel Office. You guys have seen on Instagram, I talk about space a lot lately, and like notifications, like for example, I watched The Social Dilemma and I shut off like all social media notifications on my phone. And there's some apps that I keep it for, but for the most part, like even Slack, where I talk with a few clients, like they run their business in Slack. So I've turned off, sorry, I was about to mention Social Dilemma. Yeah. What a great show. But I'm way more protective of my space. So I keep notifications off because I kept getting stressed out and feeling like I had to be doing things. When in reality, like nothing to date has made the world end. So it's okay if you like miss some things. Obviously you still show up for your clients and do a good job, but I've learned that notifications for me was like a really big stress trigger. So I've turned them off. So like, for example, on my phone, I don't get ClickUp notifications. I don't get Slack notifications. I don't get like, I have a client that uses MS Teams too. I don't get that stuff on my phone. It's when I'm sitting at my computer and I'm saying, okay, this is when I'm working on client stuff, that's when I like look at those things. I'm like, okay, I'm working on this client. I'm going to check MS Teams to see what's going on with them. That's the time that I've dedicated to them. So I'm going to be on those tools and dedicate that attention and energy. So yeah, notifications are like, that was a total tangent, but notifications are like a whole thing for me that I've learned. I've had to learn to turn off so that guilt's not there, that I'm not working on something. Even if I've like gone already above and beyond for it. If I'm getting notifications from a client and they're like, can you do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I'm actually over my hours, but like, I can't just ignore you. So it's better at like setting boundaries that way. And like, if I don't know they've messaged me, then that's not there. And then when I sit down to work on that client again, I'll address whatever they were talking about. Of course, when you set those boundaries, if it's client facing, you want to communicate those boundaries to your client so that they know what to expect. Like for example, all of my clients right now know I don't work on Fridays. So they either, if they message me on Friday, I don't feel bad about not answering to them because I've already communicated that expectation that I won't respond to you on Friday. For example, me emailing for more file formats, hashtags are, no, that's fine. That was completing a project. And again, like for me, it's like, if I'm there working and I have that time and I'm choosing, like that's me choosing to respond to you at that time. I don't remember when it was, you emailed me on what, like a Saturday or something. And I think like I was even working then at that, Friday. Yeah. So yeah. See, and I think it was pretty early in the afternoon too. Like, I think normally like most people would be working. But I was just like, I think, yeah, I was working too, but I didn't have access to the files. That's what it was.
Yeah. You sent me an email. Yeah. Like I knew Friday was your day off, but it just made sense for me to send the email at that time for me. But you reply back saying, I can't do it. Here's my delivery date, which is perfectly fine for me because then I could let my marketing person know, like, I can't get those files to you until Monday afternoon. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, even like there's people that I like didn't respond to on Friday because I was like, they know I'm not going to respond to them. Or I wasn't going to, me personally, and this is again, another tangent, just talking about systems and how I manage stuff. I'm like really weird with my email. Like I hate having unread emails in my inbox. So I'm normally very on it. Or if there's something that I know I need to address, I'll leave it as unread so that I like push myself to get it done quicker and out of the way. So I detest unread emails. Yeah, same. Like, again, there's like this stress to it, but at the same time, it's like a reminder for myself of something that I need to do. So if there's something that doesn't require action, I just like get rid of that email right away. I don't remember how that was related, but oh yeah, emails coming in on like weekends and time off and boundaries and stuff. If it's something that I can just get rid of so I don't have to worry about it later, I'll normally open it and just deal with it. But yeah, I didn't have the files available. That's why. Yeah, I remember. Anyways, any other questions about, setting up this board? Like how I did this board. For example, did you ask about that? So basically you can create custom fields when you create a list. So let's go back to say team to-do list. So say you keep your team to-do list in these different sections. So it's all in one, but like separated. And this would work anywhere, but you want to add a column and you can choose any type. It can be a currency value, it can be a label or like a tag. That board that I just showed you, it's a drop down. So it could be, say, the status of the project, and then your options are to do, in progress, review, complete, right? You can add colors to it. So like to do is red because it's like, get your shit together, do it. In progress is yellow, review is, I don't know, just create things. And then complete is done. So then you add that column. So then now you can drag it too. It's all fully customizable, which is nice. So say I have someone writing this blog post, they're going to change the task to in progress. And then when they're done, it's going to go to me to review. And then when that's done and it's published and it's good to go, then it's complete. And then you can kind of track stuff that way. Yeah, I love the drop down option, but there's so many different types of custom fields you can create. You can attach other tasks, you can have ratings. So what's fun too, there's a progress. I normally click the auto one, but say for example, like, I don't know, you can call it progress. Then, for example, say in here how it has 2 subtasks, and say I finish the one blog, then here automatically updates the progress to that task being 50% complete. So that's another fun one as well, where if you say are tracking a specific project within a task, like a podcast episode development or blog content or a client, whatever, it doesn't matter. Then it's nice. You can do it manually. I like the auto one because normally it just tracks whatever the checklist and subtasks are, but it just does it and gets that done. Yeah, those are fun things. Any other questions or stuff that you saw? No, I'm all good. Perfect. Anyone else? Give you back your Tuesday. You guys can go back to work, start planning and organizing. Perfect. What'd you say? Time to get ready for my 3,000 foot view. Perfect. No, honestly, it's such a nice way to just like know what's going on in your business. Cause I think sometimes we get so much going on and we don't see all the moving parts because we get kind of like focused down one lane, and it's kind of nice to know, and like, it's a bit of validation to be like, wow, I'm actually doing a lot, or my business is doing all this stuff. Because then once it's also mapped out like that, you can look at it and say, do I need to do that? Can I get rid of that? And that's also where you can start the simplification process and look at it to say, maybe I don't need to be doing that. I might actually get my journey entries completed in a timely manner. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Okay. You guys go. Thank you so much for coming. I hope it was insightful. Those are some ways that I like to set up ClickUp or any project management tool. But like I said, so many customizable ways. So if you guys have any questions, or if you want any feedback on boards that you set up, just send me an email to sarah@rebeloffice.ca, and I'm more than happy Very insightful, including the rants. Oh, I'm good. Oh, that's good. Sorry. Yeah, I rant a lot and I go on tangents because that's just my brain. That's why I need project management tools. Anyways, okay, you guys go enjoy. Have a great week. If you guys tune in on Thursday, great. I will see you guys Thursday and we'll talk money management. Otherwise, I'll get this replay up in case there's anything you guys want to go back on. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming.